Hey guys, it's quote unquote your boy, Ballface8020, back again with another great response video. Um, yeah, I know you guys don't want any more Casey Zander. I don't think anybody finds him quite as interesting as I do. But just like the last one about Stoicism, where I used his video to make a point about Stoicism and just like can you use spiritual things to advance your worldly goals. This is less about Casey and more about just how I think the red pill really hurts men. We can talk all day about misogyny and the red pill. We've all heard it. The red pill's bad for women. It dehumanizes women. Blah blah blah. Or we like I guess and then from a black pill perspective, we just talk about the red pill. It's bullshit. It's false hope and stuff. I don't think we really talk a lot about how the red pill can really harm men. Beyond just giving them false hope and sending them on the wrong path. Um, I was going to do a video, but I couldn't decide what I wanted to do, whether I wanted to do it about this or whether I wanted to do it about why Israel is unable to defeat Hamas. So the reason I decided not to do the Hamas one is because I figured that, one, I assume that the conflict's going to be over in a couple of days and nobody will care anymore. And two, none of my viewers really cared in the first place. But if you guys do want to see some geopolitical, let me know in the comments. If I think there's sufficient demand for it, I may make the video eventually anyway, assuming the war isn't already over by then. Okay. So yeah, he's gonna. First of all, I think you can see just the title. We've already got a problem. Why high value men don't want modern women. Whenever you start seeing these guys talk about, we don't want the women or anything, like we don't want modern women, we don't want some kind of women, we don't want women, period. You're going down a pretty dark path. Like you say that, you're one step away from MGTOW. And as we've discussed before, and we'll discuss further in this video, it's not MGTOW. True MGTOW is not really possible because it's forever and always women are the choosers. So it doesn't really make any sense. It would be like a man going MGTOW would be like me saying, I'm going to walk away from working at a Wall Street investment firm. And it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense because I could never get hired by them. They would never, I'm not qualified to work there. So I can't, so it's like a preemptive rejection. It just doesn't make sense. So Casey in this video is going to talk about why high value men. Now, I'm pretty rock solid sure when he says high value men, he doesn't mean it like FDS means. And he probably doesn't even know what FDS. Yeah, I was about to say, I just said that he doesn't know what FDS means, but just as I was saying that, I think like, what? One of his students had to have told him it at some point. Had to have told him. So maybe he even got it from FDS. I don't know. But anyway, hold on one second.
Back in the office.
Sorry about that, guys. So, yeah, what was I saying? Not FDS. So, yeah, but anyway, we'll one more time. We'll roll over what FDS means really quick. When FDS says high value male, I think this is a big misunderstanding. They think we mean a guy who, is really good looking, really tall, is in shape, and makes a lot of money and stuff like that. And that's not what they mean when they say it. When they say high value male, it just means a guy who will do what FDS thinks men should do in terms of like treating a woman right, whatever they mean by that. So according to them, like pretty much like one. Well, the numbers are the same with them and Casey. They both say about 1% of men are high value males. So, all right, let's get into it. Anyway, would you guys also in the comments let me know? Would you guys like to start calling myself Uncle B and introducing myself with that fist slap thing? Because I know you guys think that's really cool. So if you want me to start doing that and calling myself Uncle B, let me know. in the comments. By the way, my new course that teaches you how to be an alpha male, as much of an alpha male Chad as me, will be coming out. For longtime viewers, I will give you a discount. It will only cost $799.99 per month for private coaching with me. And for people who are new, it's going to cost quite a bit more, but we'll talk about that in the sales call. All right, so let's get into it.
Rejecting modern women. And this is going to be high-value men who have made money. This is going to be high-value men who have their careers on point, who have their bodies on point, who have their confidence on point, who have their charisma on point. They're rejecting.
Okay, so you see right off the bat, he names 5 things that women don't care about. You know, the only one of those that women sort of care about a tiny bit is money. And the only thing that she cares about with money, and you can say career too, is that you make more than her. That's about it. And some don't even care about that. My mom made more than my dad. She didn't care. He didn't care. My brother, my sister-in-law makes more than my brother. He doesn't care. My sister makes more than her boyfriend. She doesn't care. He doesn't care. It's not. Now, granted, in all the cases, the money was close. They made about the same, and they made it a little bit different. So, really, it's just not something that said something that women care about. You know what women care about? I mean, the main thing women care about is the main thing guys care about, which is looks. But you know, it's you know, we know this. This is old news. But you know, there's a big range there, and there's also a difference. Like, you know, what women care about in a relationship is, again, the same thing guys care about, which is that the guy is going to be compatible with her. So like he lists off these 5 things that aren't gonna help you with women, really. I'm not saying don't do them, and I'm not even saying they might give you some more margins on the options, but I mean, ultimately, you got to say, if you're not attractive to women when you have no money and no career, you're not going to be attractive with that. Now, he did say one thing that women care about. He said charisma. That is true. Now, confidence, women don't really care about that either. But charisma, women do care about that. That is important. But really, guys, it's untrainable. It is an untrainable thing. You got it or you don't.
Modern women. And here's why. You will notice majority of women, even attractive ones, cannot keep the high-value male. And I'm going to explain why. It stems from just a...
Yes, they can. Yes, they can. Very easily. It's men who frequently have trouble keeping the women. I mean, there is no such thing as... Now, the only thing I can kind of see is it's hard for women to keep a Chad type faithful. It's hard for women to keep a non-Chad type faithful. But the reverse is true too. And it doesn't really make a difference in terms of like, you know, how good a partner you are or something like that. Like it's stuff like, you know, like you have to do stuff to keep your man from cheating on you or he'll go elsewhere. And you can even say, like, it doesn't work like that. You know, if he's like, there's really, if the guy's going to cheat, that's on him. And the same thing is if a woman's going to cheat, that's on her. And, but no, this idea that, and of course he's got no data to back it up. This idea that women are having a hard time keeping high value men. What I'm thinking may have happened, and it wouldn't surprise me, is that this guy's cute brunette girlfriend who we've seen, the one who he thinks makes him the relationship expert, I think she left him. I don't know. I mean, we could be. I've been wrong about this guy before, so we'll see. But that's my guess. Because this title seems more angry. Now, it could just be a marketing thing. But this is a guy who seems to me like he generally believes what he says. So... You know, and then I think that it also could be a way to, like, when he's got clients who it doesn't work out for, he can just say to them, like, oh, well, she left because you were too high value for her or something like that. Or you left her or something like that. There's a lot of different things that could be going on here. But factually, he's wrong.
Few categories. And the categories that I'm going to be discussing to you today, so that way you can even get more crystal clear as to who you are as a man, what the world has came to. What type of women you actually want in your life, what type of expectations you need to set for yourself, what type of expectations you need to set for a woman. If you have made something of yourself, what are the requirements in order for her to even get access to your time, money, attention, dates, anything like that that you're providing in any way, shape, or form. Here's what you have to understand. Modern women today, they're fitting into just a few categories. Number one is expectation and entitlement. Number two, wants marriage but does not know what it means to be a wife. Number three is no emotional impulse control. And number four is they simply can't handle rejection. This video...
The first and the third, I think, are true. The ones, you know what? I think everyone except for the fourth are true, kind of based on my own experience. I think that so he's kind of onto something, and I think this is again this is what makes the red pill so dangerous, is because guys come to it and they see that there are a couple things that are right or true and maybe even helpful. Like Casey, for instance, says that he's saved guys' marriages. I think in the short term, at least, he's probably telling the truth. But those some true things hook you in to just the larger bullshit that the red pill is.
I was going to go so deep. This might even be a good 15-minuter. But rest assured, since my ego is attached to not editing, I'm going to try to go through this entire damn thing without fumbling over one word, because I hate editing these. Now, this all stems from you actually having standards. If you're a man and you can even articulate these categories and come to the terms that you agree with it, or you've seen women who act this way, you're on the right direction. And if you stay until the end of the video, rest assured you're going to have life-changing results within your life. You're going to have life-changing results within your dating.
I'm pretty sure life-changing results would, by necessity, be within your life. Would it be possible to have life-changing results outside of the context of your life? I'm not sure, but I don't think so.
You're going to have life-changing results with the type of women you attract. Let's actually just dive in, because I'm actually excited for this one. First off, expectation and entitlement of modern women. This goes so deep. So deep to the point where they don't even realize it. And this is
Yeah, I think this is true. I think that most of the stuff when I hear red pillers complaining about modern women is generally bullshit. Because it's just like, they're complaining about like modern women. It's like women used to be so much different. It's like, I don't think so. I think people have kind of always been the same. But yeah, I would say that's. I mean, there's no question that I don't really know any Gen Z women or girls, whatever you want to call them. But from what I've seen of Gen Z, that it's the worst generation ever. I mean, the millennials, which I'm like an X-lennial, like a tweener between a millennial and an Xer, and we were a horrible generation too. And the Zoomers are even worse. They're just the worst people ever. There's no hope for humanity. If there was any hope, it ended with when the Zoomers came of age. But no, I would say like with millennial women, was there like a big entitlement thing? Like I don't know. Like on one hand, I want to. Like when I was in high school and college, no, I didn't think so. But what I've seen on social media of like the younger millennial women, there is a huge entitlement thing of like the millennial and Zoomer. But I also don't know if it's like that in real life. Some of you younger guys could tell me, because like the ones that I've seen on on Twitter or in social media and things like that. I don't really use TikTok, but I have been forced to see them at some times just because they're everywhere. They do seem really entitled, but I don't know if that's just an internet thing. No, I would say that like when I was I mean the girls who I grew up with still count as modern women, right? And I've definitely known women like in Casey's age bracket, and I don't know, they seem pretty normal to me. I don't think they seemed particularly entitled. I mean, but whatever, I could be wrong. You guys tell me.
Became 90 to 99% of women, to the point that this goes so deep that men don't even necessarily realize it's happening. The little phrases such as "what's mine is yours," or the way that she starts to leave things at your house and even start the process of claiming that you're hers permanently without you actually establishing that, you actually establishing what you want out of her. And not only that, the entitlement of what she feels that she should be able to attract and keep.
Yeah, well, okay, now that's something I'm assuming that women have always done that. So I don't see that. I don't see how does it. What does that have to do with modern women? I mean, I'm not the relationship guy, so I'm really kind of lost in this one. Maybe I'm not the best guy to be reviewing this part of the video.
Without necessarily putting much into it. What am I getting at with this point? Essentially, she doesn't want you. Oftentimes, she needs you as a vessel to get to marriage.
Yeah, this is definitely true. I've seen this happen. This is true.
She needs you as a vessel to get that ring, to prove that she's worthy of being a wife. Not only that, she doesn't necessarily need you. She doesn't even want you. She wants you as a vessel to have children.
Yeah, I mean that's not a very healthy way to look for women. Look at women. I mean, if you want to have a lifelong relationship with one, I definitely don't think that's true for all women. I think that there's absolutely something to this. I think that there's definitely something to what Casey's saying for amongst some women. It's true. I guess my problem is him saying that it's the norm, and I'm not sure that that's the case. My guess, based on what I've seen, again, I can't really tell you from personal experience, but based on what I've seen, that's completely false. That it's normally the case. It does happen, but it's definitely not the norm, at least from what I've seen.
And this is what it's came to. This has came to just completely men oftentimes
Come to, not came to.
being used, even if they're the ones who provide 90% plus of the value. In the long term, these types of women expect him to give her what is his, which means she claims equal without half the investment. Notice that she'll say things like, we're equal, we operate as a team, we operate together.
See, when I'm seeing this, I don't know if he could be referencing what his clients have told him, but what my brain is filling in is that he has broken up with his girlfriend, and this is the kind of shit she said to him. On the other hand, you've got to know that she wouldn't say that stuff to him because she would know that it would trigger him. So, yeah, I mean, I may want to believe that they've broken up, which is wrong of me. It's just wrong of me. Again, I know maybe it doesn't seem like it, but I really don't have anything against them. But my guess now that I think about it further, is he's probably heard this from his clients, saying like we're a team, we operate together, you can't run shit, blah blah blah. Yeah, I mean, but I guess that is kind of a modern women thing. Like modern women make a bigger deal about that, about it being explicit. But I think it's always kind of been there implicitly. I mean, I can think about my grandparents' marriages, and it was definitely like that. So, but I mean, I can't imagine any of my grandmothers actually saying we're a team, we're equal. I can't. There's no way either of my grandmothers would ever say that. But from the outside looking in, that's pretty clear what their relationships was like. And they stay together their whole lives. So.
This is how we make decisions, right? She's going to try to interject that. But when it comes time to actually putting skin in the game in any way, shape, or form, what you're going to find is modern women are not necessarily ready, willing, or even capable to put up half the investment in any way, shape, or form when it comes to actually accomplishing the task at hand that they deem fit to fit the things that they want, such as kids, such as marriage, such as being able to take those Instagram photos to show she's a wife.
Well, that's not really what the data shows. I mean, the data has shown pretty conclusively that men's life satisfaction goes up when they get married and that women's life satisfaction goes down. So that's that. So this idea that women aren't pulling their weight in relationships, that statistically doesn't seem to be the case. I'm not using this data to try to demonize men. I think that there could be a lot of reasons for that. And when you talk about because red pillars like to say that like women initiate most of the divorces, like right, but when you look at the data showing that women's quality of life is going down with marriage and men's quality of life is going up, it would make sense that women would be the ones initiating most of the divorces. I'm not saying that there aren't guys who get screwed in divorce, or I'm not even saying that the divorce isn't the woman's fault, because every relationship's different. I really don't know, but I think to just throw this out there in abstract just doesn't make sense. So unless women have dramatically changed in like the last 10 years or something, I don't think this is true, that women aren't pulling their weight in relationships.
Which leads me to my next point. She wants marriage. Majority of women today want marriage, yet they don't know what it actually means to be a wife.
Well, because it doesn't really mean anything, you know. I mean, it meant something like back in the Inca Empire when it was important that the woman could cook because the guy was going to be doing the heavy farm labor that she couldn't do, like the strength farm labor that she didn't have the physical wherewithal to do. That she would be able to cook food for him and the kids. Um, but today, like with modernization, being a wife per se doesn't really mean anything beyond being a good lifetime companion and potentially a good mother. And if you're saying it would say to me that women today don't know how to be good mothers, that millennial women don't know how to be good mothers, that's just bullshit. That's bullshit. I mean, if you know any millennial parents, it's the mom tends to is overwhelmingly more invested than the father still. So, I mean, if anything, millennial mothers are like extra neurotic, or like extra involved with the kids. So, I mean, he's way off base here.
Which means if you want to be a wife as a woman, high value men are going to command that you have wife like traits. What are wife like traits? Well,
This isn't true. That high value men, when he says high value men, he means tall, good looking, rich guys are going to demand that women have, and then he's going to list a bunch of traits that they don't. Now, high value men aren't really that demanding when it comes to what their wives are. If you see the types of guys, the wives that they're married to, they're not who like red pillers say you should get, which is like 18-year-old virgin, 18-year-old submissive housewife virgin. That's not usually who they marry. These Chad types, and they're 28 or whatever, they marry a girl who's 27, similar career to them, high body count, stuff like that. I mean, that's who they marry. So, like this idea that this isn't some like you go girl thing. I'm just telling you guys how it is. So this idea that we'll talk about we'll see the traits that he says that high value men supposedly demand, and then we'll respond to it.
Like traits, first and foremost, if you're the type of woman, what you're going to see, men, you're going to see women who sing about Cardi B. You're going to see women who talk about if he's broke, he ain't getting none of this, yada yada yada, as she shakes her ass every single week. But yet, this same woman expects to be a wife,
and she's going to get it. And it was, again, statistics show she gets it. The high value men who you see, for lack of a better term, or to borrow your term, who are getting married, they're getting married to women just like that. Okay? And this isn't a new thing. It's who they've been marrying forever. It's just not a big deal outside of the red pill circle jerk.
This same woman that expects to be a wife is the same type of woman that goes to bars and clubs and shakes her ass and hooks up with men. Okay? Wife traits is going to be very simple. Wife traits is going to be loyalty, trust, cooperation, femininity, agreeableness, and willing to please her man when he needs it. Anytime she...
Yeah, I mean, I think most of all those are true, but again, a woman can have those and still have been promiscuous, when she was younger. So and as for willing to please her man, it's tough for me to really tell like what he means by that. Most guys aren't really. Men are kind of notorious for being easy to please. It's women who are hard to please. So I'm not really sure what he's saying, so I can't respond to that.
She withholds any of those traits, that is essentially her being a bad woman. Just as if you lose the ability to protect, to provide, to be strong.
And we're already, it's one of the problems here, and I think that this is something the red pillars really resent, is that the fact of the matter is, as men, we are no longer needed to protect and provide. Women can provide for themselves, and the state provides them with the protection. So, has that been good for men? No, it hasn't. We have less, but kind of is what it is. This is the result of living in a modern society. Like we just, unfortunately or fortunately, or however you want to talk about it, our role as protectors that we've traditionally had is obsolete. You can't blame women for that. We're the ones who built this society, and so that's that. And as for provide, again, women aren't looking for a provider. And women aren't looking for. I mean, unless you go if you want a woman who wants a provider, you got to go to Latin America or Southeast Asia or Eastern Europe. But women don't want a provider. They don't need a provider. They can make their own money now.
You've lost your masculinity. Majority of women lose their femininity. But the fact is,
no, that's not true. It's just false. These red pillars who are so obsessed with masculinity and femininity, and it's just like it's got to be such an exhausting way to live. Because here's the thing, right? My masculinity or whatever is something that I literally never gave a second's thought before discovering these red pill guys spurging about it all the time. Casey's sounding a lot like Roosh. Now he's obvious. Casey's not as intelligent as Roosh. He's not as tall as Roosh. He doesn't have the charisma of Roosh. On the other hand, he's not an evil psychopath like Roosh is. So I guess it balances out. But it's the same type of thing. This kind of bizarre obsession with masculinity and femininity. And the fact is, the overwhelming majority of people all over the world don't give that stuff a second thought, including some of the most masculine and feminine people you'll ever see. Can you imagine even going to the ghetto and trying to teach telling some black guy, some underclass black guy, hey, are you being masculine enough in your relationship? He wouldn't know what the hell you were talking about, because he just acts normal. Or some Latino guy in East Los Angeles, he's it's just kind of their relationship is their relationship. It's not something that masculine guys think about. I mean, if you're thinking about it, you're not masculine. And so it's just so bizarre and really counterproductive. I mean, the thing is, whatever your problems are, I can guarantee you that none of them come from you not being masculine enough,
No men tell them this. And the reason why no men tell them this is because men today do not know what a good woman even looks like. Because majority of women have all went down this rabbit hole. Which means childish behavior, such as, her giving you the cold shoulder, or her not talking to you, or her playing the games and testing and saying, we're done. But guess what? When he removes the validation, or when he removes the attention, all hell breaks.
Dude, women have been doing that shit forever. That has nothing to do with modern women. That's just the way women act. So it has nothing to do with modern women.
Absolutely loose. She cannot handle it. She has no idea what to do, which is going to lead me to my next point of impulse control, but we have to go deeper into marriage. What does it mean to be a wife? To be a wife...
You yourself aren't married. How can you be teaching people about marriage?
Just like to be a husband, or to be in a relationship with a significant other, it's based off the long-term result of you guys growing, of you guys evolving. And you as the man, typically, you're going to have to lead that train, but you have to have a woman who's willing to get on your mission. You have to have a woman who's willing to get on board with the direction you are going, with the vision, the mission, the principles that you expect out of life. She has to find that as a massive turn on, and she has to be willing to trust that man in every way, shape, or form. If she does not do that, there's no way it will work. You see, here's...
Yeah, he's wrong. He's wrong. I've seen plenty of relationships work out where that weren't based around the man's mission, for lack of a better word. A lot of people, most people, the overwhelming majority of people, both in today and in history, have not really had a mission beyond providing for their kids. This idea that he's got that you need some. This is beyond red pill stuff. I think even most red pillers would be like, dude, what is this guy talking about? You don't need this mission, especially what's Casey's mission? To spread red pill garbage to guys online? So, I mean, honestly, you're better off with no mission at all than that. So, I mean, it's just, I mean, how many just incorrect things has he said so far in this video?
Here's the issue. With women, their dad did not necessarily teach them how to treat a man, and their mom sure as hell oftentimes did not show them what it means to be a good...
Some background on Casey. He said in one of his other videos that he came from a very broken home, so this may be stuff like this. His dad did not... I can't imagine my father trying to teach my sister how to treat a man. That would be really fucking weird. And I can't imagine my mom even thinking about that. The only thing I remember my dad ever saying about my sister in boys was him saying that if she ever started acting stupid to get attention from boys, he would pull her out of school and put her in an all-girls school. That's the only thing I ever remember him saying about it. And I don't remember my mom saying about it either. So I guess you can say that, oh, okay, well, like, I mean, according to Casey, they fucked up, but my sister's been with the same guy for like 7 years. So I think that it's worked out, you know.
Good woman, which means you got to ask, where are these women putting their time? Where is these women? Where is modern women's time going in their youth, in their younger years, in their years that they could be actually searching for a high-value man? It's oftentimes going to girls' nights out, bars, clubs, sleeping in, studying. Okay, and oftentimes they've never made it a priority to do the self-improvement, do the work that it takes to actually keep a high-value man. Now, what you're going to see with modern women is there's no emotional impulse control. That means what you're going to see is men oftentimes reward things like temper tantrums by trying to make up for it with nice guy behavior, wondering, baby, what did I do wrong?
Yeah, and here's where we go back to, like, this is when he says he's helped men, I'm guessing it's with stuff like this, because that's just, I mean, to me, it's just common. Basically, it's just don't simp. You know, you treat people are people, and you know, she's your wife. She's still a human being, which means that you just like you wouldn't reward, you know, a temper tantrum with somebody who you didn't give a shit about. You wouldn't reward it with her either. I mean, if she's being a crazy bitch, just say, well, you know, that's women for you, and move on with your life. So, I mean, the red pill's right about that. But I mean, can't you just say don't simp? Do you really need to build this entire philosophy around it?
But in actuality, there's no maturity. And if there's no maturity, what that means...
Well, I think that millennials and Zoomers in general, there's less maturity. I don't think that's a woman thing. I mean, it's maybe a little bit worse with women, but even then I can't say, because, again, the statistics show that women do a better job of growing. It's really the men who are worse with the extended adolescence than the women. So, yeah, I don't think that's fair at all to say that it's like a problem with modern women. It's more of a problem with modern people.
If she's oftentimes living for Friday and Saturday night, and then on top of that, they want their beauty to bank on them being a good mother in that man's eyes, or being a good wife.
What the hell? What is he talking about? No, I don't know.
Or thinking that you can actually accomplish these things without doing the work.
What work? What the hell work are you talking? I mean, I don't even know. What is she supposed to be working towards? I mean, apparently we don't want her studying, right? We don't want her sleeping in. We don't want her going out and party. But I mean, you know, I hate to break it to you, Casey, but the overwhelming majority of young women, or attractive young women, since those are who the high value men get, are in long-term relationships. And you say, what do you want? You want them to cook for their boyfriend? They do that. Okay, that's just, I mean, it's like, what are you're ranting against this like imaginary enemy that you just made up in your mind. Okay, it's not true.
This goes both ways, which means modern women today cannot handle rejection when that man actually has one boundary, two boundaries, three boundaries, four boundaries. When you put up front, first and foremost, this is what you need in order to enter my life, you either comply or you're not going to get to see me. That's your biggest power factor that you have as a man, is the ability to emotionally detach and walk away. But what you have to understand is women typically do not have that power. That power is strong and virtuous, which means that modern women cannot keep them. Modern women do not do the work to keep a high-value man.
Again, yes, they do. Well, they don't do the work, but they keep them. It's like, I mean, I'm trying to think, like, my best friend... So again, I don't know, how are we defining a high value man? My best friend makes like $150 a year, and you know his fiance has kept him pretty well. Does my brother count? He makes $80 a year, and is a great father. You know, his wife, my sister-in-law, has kept him. My future brother-in-law from who my sister's with, you know, he's again high value, good looking guy. You know. Division 3 college football player, makes like I think around $100 a year. I don't know, and you know, faithful and treats my sister well, and my sister's kept him for 7 or 8 years. So I mean, what is this guy? And really, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's talking. Maybe those guys aren't high value enough. I just don't know what he's talking about. And but again, go to see all these chat guys. See the guys who these bankers on Wall Street marry. I think that those are high value guys, and they're, you know, not very housewifey. Okay, So, and like I said, a lot of them have high body counts. So I don't know what you're on here, on about, Casey.
Trying to get you to realize the actual power that you have as a man, which means
you have no power as a man. You know, the thing is, again, if you don't want a woman, there's 10 million other guys out there who are willing to simp for her. So you don't have much power. And I'm not saying that means you simp for her too, but I mean, don't lie to yourself and say that, you know, you guys are equal in terms of options. You're not. I mean, you only have leverage if she gets one-itis for you. If she does, then you can set all the boundaries you want. You can get away with a lot of shit when it does that. That's true. That's true. But you know, you got to get there first. And from an objective standpoint, no, you've got no leverage.
high value men typically date multiple women, and it's not necessarily because they.
At the same time, no, they don't. No, they don't. At the same time, these high value men are with the ones who they tend to settle down with are not going to put up with them openly cheating. I mean, yeah, do they understand that? Like, does his banker's wife understand that he's going to be going to hookers and cheating? Yeah, I mean, she's probably cheating too. It's a very promiscuous circle based on what I've heard, but it's But no, he's not going to be dating multiple. He's not going to be like running a harem or something. He's not going to be like, so, and no, it's going to be, the relationships are very 50-50, you know?
They want to. It's because modern women today have made it so that way they have to.
No, and because I've known Chads who've had harems, and no, it had nothing to do with being against modern women. It had to do with the fact that there was a lot of women who were willing to put out. So no, you're just so wrong.
When you are not cooperative, when you are not submissive, when you do not follow his lead, when you do not trust him, when you do not necessarily think that he's the type of man who can lead you, when you constantly push his buttons and test him, that is not something that a high-value man wants to deal with or needs to deal with. And if a man would not cross you that way, sure as hell a woman should not be. Which means you must know as a man that you have.
Yeah, so when he starts talking like this, and you see the title of the video, you know, it makes me think, like, you know, Roosh obviously has got some very serious issues with women. Roosh, you know, I would say, fair to say, Roosh hates women. I don't think that Casey hates women, but I'm starting to think there's some serious issues here. This is often the case with guys who've had problems with their mother. I'm not saying that every Red Pill or MGTOW has had problems with their mother, but it sounds like Casey has, and I think that's probably something what's going on here, or he's just been the victim of a bad breakup, or maybe he's been jilted from all the guys he's coached. I don't know. He's fun to psychoanalyze, but there's a lot of unknowns here.
You have strength. You have the strength to walk away. You have the strength to say no. You have the strength to let her sit in silence. And when you do this, this is your biggest power factor. Just to show you how strong this.
Well, it's your only power factor. I mean, you can do it, and you probably should, but. You know, again, she can leave and replace you with 100 other guys. So that's just life, man.
Could be. Think about it for a second.
Unless you're Chad, that's what they go with. Like a lot of the stuff he's talking about is like, yeah, if you're Chad, yes, you are the prize. It reverses everything. But very few guys are. Like, I don't even know if Casey, who's only 5'10", is good enough. Well, maybe with that plus his money, he's on the borderline. He's kind of a Chad light. So, but and maybe that's why. Maybe he's thinking like his own, that he's like, well, I'm Chad, so he's projecting his own experience to everybody else. But again, you're talking about, I mean, I know they say the top 20% of guys, I think it's less than that, who really will have women chasing and throw themselves at them. If you're not one of those guys, which again, that's the overwhelming majority of guys. I think it's like 90% of guys, then no, man, it's not. It's not really like that. That it's not as. I mean, yeah, you can say no, but you've got nobody to replace her with, and you are very replaceable. See, that thing is, Chad is irreplaceable, so it's different. So to not acknowledge that is a real. You're really missing a lot of the overall picture there.
Female empowerment quote: "You don't need him. Good job, girl. You walked away." Think of it this way. Think of what a male empowerment quote would sound like, and just how non-normal this is for a second. If you would see a male quote that says something along the lines of, if you make $250,000 per year and she doesn't make you breakfast in bed every single morning and make sure that you get a kiss Every single day that you walk through that door and she's pleasing you in the bedroom 4 to 5 times per week, walk away. Know your worth, king. Think about that for a second. Why do you not see that?
Okay, I'm gonna stop here because this is the part that I really wanted to talk about. I remember this from when I was a kid, growing up in the '90s, and I always felt really resentful of like the girl power message, girls can do anything, blah blah blah, and what I didn't understand at the time was the reason that girls were being given that message was because there there was an overall because reality is very different. Reality is that the girls are going to get out in the world and deal with stuff where there is sexism under the surface, and where the fact is, in a lot of ways, girls simply can't compete with men. Now, as a grade school kid, girls and guys are pretty equal, so you didn't notice. But as you get older, the physical differences and even the mental differences and emotional differences start showing up, and you see, like, if you've ever like had seen, like, or in high school maybe did some sports where you were playing against the girls team, you remember like how easily, the guys, like the out of shape guys, would just crush the most athletic girls. So this girl power message is being sent because it's not true, and because women need that extra encouragement, girls need that extra encouragement. It's like, that's the reason, like, why do you see all this stuff encouraging girls in coding and nothing encouraging like men in coding or computer programming, whatever you want to call it? It's because there's computer programming is already dominated by men, but women, who being a small minority there, need the encouragement. So why are women like always talking this "you go girl" stuff? Well, it's because everybody knows women simp so hard for chat, and sometimes even non-chats. And we've all seen the total losers who women, sacrifice for and devote themselves to. It's much more often than the reverse. And so you try to, so you have, and often women are also more likely to get themselves in abusive relationships and stuff. So that's where all the encouragement comes from. To say to them, like, look, you're worth more than this. You don't need to put up with this loser. You can do so much. Don't simp for this guy, just because he's Chad, or maybe he's not even Chad. Men don't need to be told that. That's why you don't see it. It's not some matriarchal conspiracy. So yeah, I guess this kind of rehashed a lot of stuff I said before, but I think you can see this video because, as I've said, I don't hate Casey or even really dislike him, but I think, like, when I see Casey, I see him as, like, yeah, he's made money, but I see him as a real victim of the red pill. Like, guys like Dan Bilzerian and Greg O'Gallagher, yeah, they're weird or whatever, but like Casey, you can tell he's really living this red pill stuff. Things didn't make sense to him as a kid, and he found this red pill stuff, and it's got him believing in it, and you can see it's actually damaged his mind, and it's not making him happy. It's causing a lot of emotional strain and stuff. And so you think about Casey, think about some guys out there who aren't as good looking as Casey, and haven't been able to monetize it. All these younger guys or even older guys all over the world, hearing this stuff, and it's damaging them. It's really hurting them. So you can talk about like especially if there's some emotionally vulnerable women who read this stuff, and then it starts negatively affecting them. Yeah, that's a problem. But that's not going to be nearly as big a deal, or in terms of just numbers, as how many men is this negatively impacting. And on one hand, you could talk about like negative impacts to men from the black pill, and I'm not saying that there aren't, but I don't think it's would be nearly as damaging as this red pill bullshit. I mean, which is like, because again, like a lot of guys who are probably okay guys and have some stuff going for them, like this poison could really affect their ability to have a relationship, and it can really make them a lot more paranoid if you're going around all day thinking like, am I being masculine enough and shit like that. You know what I mean? So that's all for now, and I'll see you in the next.